The comic himself is a guy where comedy is a dream, but not full time. But I can't see a comedian being a collector for a mafia guy. That's just not going to work. I don't know what side job he'd have. Maybe waiting tables. I don't know. It has to be something where he can sort of ply his craft, but can also sort of rub his boss the wrong way. So maybe waiting tables is the kind of thing, because a lot of comics have waited tables. I know I did back in the day. I actually worked with a guy who was a comedian that waited tables, and he'd use the time of working as a waiter as a way to kind of work on his crowd work, and he's pretty good. I don't even know what happened to him. I don't remember his last name. I'd love to track him down, but he went by the name of Hot Toddy. And he was a waiter at a restaurant I used to work at. He was a good guy, really sweet guy. But anyway, I imagine Rocky the comic is like this Hot Toddy character. He uses his time waiting tables to ply his craft, but he's not going anywhere as a stand-up comic until one day, he goes viral on YouTube. And I'm not sure why he goes viral on YouTube. Maybe he gets a chance to roast a comedian who's just lost his spot somewhere. I don't know, but somehow Rocky the comic becomes a superstar overnight, but he doesn't know what to do with it, because he's just Rocky the comic from the streets, and he has to deal with, am I really that good? Am I good enough to be the star that everybody's calling me to be? And he gets his big shot, his opening on a tour for this major comic that he roasted or something, and he outshows him. Can you imagine? I don't know if that works, but he ends up getting more famous, I guess, or getting big bookings. But the thing about Rocky is it's not about a boxing match; it's about a guy. About a guy wrestling with his or boxing actually with himself, and with the pressures of his life, and it's him trying to figure out who he is as a person, and whether he's got what it takes, and then there's the guys around him that sort of help him figure out who he is for good or ill. You got can I just say, Rocky Sylvester Stallone did a fantastic job of casting in the Rocky film. He surrounded himself with actors better than he was to make him look good, which really is a great strategy, because rising tides lift all ships, I think is what they say. And for Rocky, he had Burgess Meredith, the great Penguin, and he's just a great character actor playing Mickey, who, to be honest with you, the more I look at this movie, the more I don't like Mickey. Mickey's not a father figure to Rocky in the first movie. Mickey's an opportunist, and he takes full advantage of the chance to train Rocky, because he knows that Rocky's got this opportunity in front of him, and he wouldn't have done that any other time, because to him Rocky was a tomato. There's a great scene in the movie where Rocky is where Mickey approaches Rocky, goes to his apartment, and they fight. They yell at each other, and Mickey just turns around and leaves. He's all despondent, and you hear Rocky outside of the building just yelling at him about how he didn't care before and all this other stuff. And really powerful scene. Not that Sylvester Stallone was the greatest actor, but this was probably his greatest acting moment with Mickey. And then he runs down because he needs Mickey anyway. And so I can imagine in Rocky the comic, you've got to get a really strong actor to play this opportunistic club owner that just sort of takes this comedian under his wing. Like, maybe a Paul Giamatti. I can see a Paul Giamatti doing that. Because he's such a great actor, and I think he'd be great in that role. But then you got Burt Young, who, to be honest with you, Burt Young quietly is the greatest part of Rocky. At least the first 3 movies, because he's just fantastic. The first 4 movies, not the first 3. The first 4 movies. He's just incredible. As an actor, you're not. I don't think you're supposed to like Paulie. You end up liking Paulie later on, but that's because Burt Young plays him so well, and you can sort of feel the anguish of watching his friend rise to the occasion and providing for his sister in a way that he never could, and seeing his failures and magnified by his friend's successes. And Burt Young plays it so well. He's just so good. But I don't know. I don't know. I haven't thought through the casting and how I would cast it, and as if this movie would ever get made. But I think it'd be great to see that kind of story played out on the screen of a stand-up comedian who gets a big break and has to deal with his own self-doubt. Because who doesn't have to deal with self-doubt in any challenge? It doesn't have to be a big boxing match or a big stand-up comedy special. It could be you're dealing with your own self-doubt at your job. You're dealing with your own self-doubt with your kids or your wife or your family. You have to wrestle with your own demons, I guess. And that's really what Rocky's all about. And I wouldn't have thought about this if I wasn't begged and beaten into submission by my near 11-year-old son, who just wanted to watch Rocky and then sent me into a tailspin of thought and innovation. Well, not innovation, but just imagination, I guess. Creativity. And here it is, just spitting it out into my headset as I'm driving home. But I don't have anything else to say, except thanks so much for listening to Storytime with Uncle Jeremy. You can find me on all of the platforms. You've got me on, I believe I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Podcasts. You can find me on Spreaker.com. I changed the name to Vox Robotica Media because I'm really going to push this whole page with some new content for people to download and get me a little bit of scratch in my pocket. But you can find me on all the social media. Just follow me at JSZare on Twitter, where I will muse. If you are in the local Rochester area, you can find me at an open mic once a week at least, and working out new jokes and material that you might have heard here first, but you'll hear them in front of a crowd, maybe a little more polished. So you can also, if you want to check out my stand-up comedy special on YouTube, look for Funny to a Degree and my name. You will find it. There are currently 2 videos up there. One is the long video, and the other one is a short sound bite, or a short one of my bits that I put out there as a bit about student loans. You can find that, watch it, comment, share it with your friends. Help me make some money, because that's what I'm all about. No, I'm not all about making money, but money's nice. It helps things go better a lot of the time. But thanks so much for listening, and I will catch you the next time.
Thanks for listening to Storytime with Uncle Jeremy, a Vox Robotica Media production. Music featured in this show was Twisted by Kevin MacLeod, used under a Creative Commons license by Attribution 3.0. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe, review and share with your friends.